Hello and welcome to today's video. Now I'm sure you're familiar with this book, Paperbacks From Hell by Grady Hendrix. This book came out a few years ago now, but it's absolutely fantastic and it's a love letter to those great schlock horror novels of the 70s and 80s that you may have read when you were growing up. Certainly I did. And it features some of the real highlights from that particular genre. Now, I think on the back of this particular book, some of those original copies started to go up in value and became very, very sought after. Some of the books were reissued in a Paperbacks From Hell imprint, but at the same time, the original copies, well, they're just going absolutely crazy. And I think it was just based on the influence of this one particular book. So I thought what we do today is choose some of the key titles from this book and have a look and see just what they are actually making on the secondary market. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so one of my favourite authors, John Christopher, and I think it's just this particular edition, this Avon one from the States, which is, I mean, what can you say? Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it is sort of a classic little title, and well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, $150. This one, £35 in UK money. I've tried to find, when we've been going through these, the actual editions that are featured in the book, rather than like the first hardback printings or even the American or British printings. I'm trying to match the ones that are actually featured in the book, but in some cases they're equally as collectible, the British and American editions. This one, Haunting a Hill House. And some of these titles you'll be familiar with, I'm sure. Some of them you may never have heard of, like myself. But I think what's made these books so attractive is when you go through the Paperbacks From Hell book and you read Grady's write-up on some of these books, you think, I've just got to read that. And it makes you, well, where else are you going to find a lot of these books is literally by just going online and searching places like eBay. And that's what we're doing here. And, well, you can see these are all sold prices. This is the prices that the books have actually sold for. Look at that, £45. And here's a set of 4 for £30. And it really is quite amazing. And something else I've noticed with these, yes, you know, real tip-top copies do tend to go for a premium, but because I think the people buying these really just want them to read rather than, say, collect, lower grade copies aren't shunned upon like they perhaps would be with, you know, other authors or, you know, genres, really, you know. Here's the Exorcist. This isn't even the first printing. It's just, you know, you can see the little bit of the film poster down the bottom there. This is just a reprint. It's a particularly nice condition reprint. Look at that, you know, 41 printings up to that point. But just a nice copy of a book which usually turns up quite beaten up. So not sure what's going on there, but I said £38 for that one. And another good thing by looking through these books is that you may well find some of these and not have given them a second glance, and maybe now you might be able to save some of these from just going in the bin, and you never know, you might get a real collectible title at the same time. Now, this is part of a series of 4. This is a British sale. This one, £20. Now, there's an awful lot of books in Paperbacks From Hell. If you haven't got a copy, that would be your first starting point. I very much recommend picking a copy up of that. This one by Trevor Hall. I didn't realise he'd written any horror. I know the author through his Blake's 7 books, in actual fact. Sentinel. But yeah, there's so many books in Paperback From Hell. What I've actually done for this video is gone through about half of it. So I'm up to about page 100, 110, and it's about 230, 240 page book. So I'm about halfway through Paperbacks From Hell, checking these titles out, and I'll do a follow-up video to this one next month, when I'll do the second part of the book. But there's so much good stuff in here. I didn't want to overload you with horror covers here, but there's a lot to take in. And these are books that I traditionally don't generally search for. Look at this, £80, $104.99. I mean, this is the sort of thing, they do turn up. You've just got to keep your eyes peeled to this. I mean, this is obviously a really nice copy, that one there. It looks like it's unread. First printing from July 84, but You know, these books will turn up if you just keep your eyes peeled. But some amazing, revelations here, you could say. The girl. This one went for £49.72 or $65. On the face of it, it looks like a particularly nice copy, but there's that little tear, I think, or there's something going down the front there. It looks like it's a die-cut cover, maybe. And one of those gimmick covers, they tend to fetch decent money. Yeah, it looks like a gimmick cover there with the veil of the bride. But there is still a tear there, unfortunately. But still good money. Really, really good money for that one. Yeah, $65. Satan's Love Child. So, traditionally, in the world of book collecting, anything sort of, Satanism, witchcraft, the occult, all those sorts of subjects have always been bankable in any, shape or form. Drug abuse is another one, which is a highly collectible sort of genre. But, these ones here, Satan's Seductress, it's a no-brainer, really. These are actually British editions. £24 for the last one, $19.99 for this one. Satan's Mistress. You can see why these are collectible, and they can't exactly be, readily available. So it's the sort of thing just to keep an eye out for, because you might be very, very surprised. The Possession of Jessica Young. There's some fantastic covers on these. There really is. Now, when I was growing up, I was born 1969, late 69. So by the time of the early 80s, I was an influential teenager, and I would see these books around in the second-hand shops, and I'd buy them. I'd absolutely love them. I mean, the Pan Book horror stories was another favourite of mine. I loved reading those. But I can remember reading books like this. Now, this one, this is the best photo I could find of this one. And I remember seeing this back as a youngster, but £65. I couldn't get any more further details on that one, but there it is. Absolutely classic cover, that one. Yeah, brilliant. The guy in the bell jar there. Amazing jacket on that one. But when you click on the auction, it said the item no longer available, so no more details there. But yeah, some great cover art on these, and you can see why they are collected in their own right. And I suppose if you're into horror and horror collecting, these are like real gems. But it's not an area I ever collected. I read the books when I was a kid growing up, as I said, but I never, for whatever reason, never really ended up collecting them. Only the Pan Book of Horror Stories. That's the only series I kept hold of. But I had lots of these through my hands. The Guy and Smith books, actually stacks of them. But I sort of read them and traded them in, I think, And I can remember lots around this sort of time going through my hands. This is a Revelation Piper. I mean, look at the state of it. Absolutely falling to bits. But if you wanted it to read, I suppose it's all there. £13.73. Now, this one here, you'll notice it's got the little flash in the corner, Paperbacks From Hell. Now, I'll cover this a little bit more at the end, but basically some of the harder to get books have actually been republished with a little Paperbacks From Hell imprint. And we'll have a look at those in a bit. Ghost Child. You'll notice that predominantly the books, I would say 70 to 80% of the books we're seeing today are the American editions, but quite a few had British equivalents, and don't turn those down if you've come across the British ones. They can be equally as collectible. A lot of them published by New English Library, which in itself is a collectible publisher nowadays. So don't let a particular edition stop you from picking out one of these books if you spot it out and about. Possession. Now, some of the listings on places like eBay, they do actually put Paperbacks From Hell in the item description, so in the title. So if you search Paperbacks From Hell on eBay, which I've not done, I've only looked up by the titles, you may well find a huge batch of these sorts of books to have a look at. But some of the prices are crazy. I've concentrated on what these books have actually sold for, which I think is a much better way of gauging the market, really. The Kill. Nice perfect spine on that one. Bit of aging, obviously. 40-year-old book, not printed on the best of paper, but even so, £22.94 or $30. Abracadabra, I remember this one. And look what it's gone for. It was best offer, but £229 or $300. This was a surprise, and I actually remember seeing this one. I don't think it was one I read, but look at the state of it. It's quite the eye-opener, isn't it? So you may just come across this and not realise what it is. Rabid. Great cover on this one. Really like the cover on this. But once again, quite a low-grade book for the amount of money that it's gone for. I mean, it is, you could say, falling to bits. It really does need a bit of attention, this one. But someone evidently wanted that, to be willing to pay, you know, $20 or £15.30. Blood snarl. So it would seem that any sort of animal at all potentially had the option of being turned into some sort of horror book. Cats were no exception. Lots of insects, you know, and some of the stuff, you know, I didn't bother covering it. Things like The Rats by James Herbert. I mean, that's sold so well, it's not massively collectible. It is in the hardback first, of course, but not the paperback first, you know, maybe £8 to £10. But that was a New English Library special, that one. Panther. Quite a nice jacket on this one as well. Signet. Yeah, excellent stuff. Flesh bait, £41 this one's gone for. $79.95 Australian dollars. Killer fish. Well, I mean, you know, we haven't covered it in this video, but there was piranha. This was a New English Library classic again, so sort of thing that'd be highly collectible nowadays. Slime by the author of Slither, £16. This one was sold in the UK. It's a British edition from Hamlin. Quite the worse for wear, but how often do you see something like that? I don't think I've ever come across that one. Pestilence. Don't go near the water. I think these sort of came out on the back of the Piranha film, you know. I think this just was an obsession. There was Croc Books. It was all the Jules books and the Jules spin-offs. Here we are, a little run of Guy and Smith. So this one sold for 100. This is the British copy of Crabbe's The Human Sacrifice. This is New English Library again. £100. Wow, wow, wow. Certainly some of these are very, very collectible. And here's the American edition, yeah. This one is a slightly lower grade copy. Sold in the UK, went for £78. But that's got the tear on the back there. I've seen that go for even more in nicer condition. Crabs on the Rampage, $85. This one for the American printing. Nice copy of that one. Pretty sharp condition, that. Nice collectible copy. Loads of photos. Worth the money. If you know, Guy and Smith, if you're collecting him, that's a nice copy of that one. A real good investment. Killer Crabs, another one here. $60. American printing and Signet. Great jacket on that. I love it. They're brilliant. I think that's part of the appeal of these is the great jackets. But some of the content, wow, yeah, unforgettable. Sean Hudson, this is I think it's the American edition of Slugs. And yeah, it's the American printing of it. Quite collectible. The British one's not as collectible as the American ones, but still £35. Ants, Peter Tremaine. I mean, nothing was sacred, was it? You know, I mean, literally any bug that you can think of had its own sort of horror book tied into it. Bit of fun by the look of it. We've seen this one before, Eat Them Alive, Pierce Nace. This one tends to go for good money when it turns up. This is the British New English Library edition of this one, but equally the American one is collectible as well. That's a fairly low grade one, but still went for £90 or best offer. Squelch, $50 on this one. Yes, I don't know what they are, slugs or caterpillars or something, I'm not sure. Amazing stuff. These are just incredible. Even butterflies. Look at that blight. Mutant moths. Mutant moths, it says on the front. So, yeah, butterflies would be far too pretty, wouldn't they? You know, so turn them into moths. Slither. Here we are. Look at that. I remember this cover. I remember it vividly as a kid. And then Gilla. Les Simmons. Another great one here. Look at this. Reminds me of the old monster movie, sort of Godzilla-ish. But certainly a great one there. Yeah, $85 on that one. Bloodworm. Don't remember these. Yeah, same author as Slither. Look at that. I'm sure if I'd ever seen that as a kid, I'm sure I would have remembered it. This is the British one from Arrow. Yeah, £45 or best offer. The Nest. Beautiful cover on that one. I think this is Killer Cockroaches. Or mutant cockroaches, I think, possibly. Great stuff. I suppose if you get a collection of these together, they are one hell of a talking point. Scorpion. Naturally, you know, they've got a sting in their tail. And then you get a swarm of them together, and then you've got a horror book, haven't you? £26.77. And then Scorpion second generation. So this is the British one. This is New English Library again. £35 on this one. I mean, once again, this is the sort of thing that will definitely turn up. You just need to keep an eye out for it. If you see these sorts of things cheap, grab them. You could be very, very surprised when you look them up, what they actually make. £35, that one. Gwen in Green, Hugh Zachary. Nice sort of gothic cover there, Fawcett gold medal. This is like early 70s by the look of it. Yeah, 74. So actually later than I thought, but yeah, quite a nice one, that. $35. The Plants, another great jacket, this one. Went for £15 or almost. Yeah, quite like the design of that one. Moonbog. £20 for this. Got a little quote from Stephen King, which makes it all the worthwhile, doesn't it? But yeah, insane. Absolutely incredible. Incredible prices for some absolutely incredible books. I think you'll agree. Now, as I mentioned, that's the original book there, Paperbacks from Hell. And if you've not picked up a copy of this, 2017 it came out. So it's been around. It's obviously still in print. So I'm going to put a link to this exact page in the description down below. And you'll see these are all the reissues that have been re-released with the Paperbacks from Hell flash in the top right corner. So if some of these books are hard to get as originals, you could always get the reissues. However, in the UK, as you can see, the pricing on some of these is $15.50, $15.99 for a paperback. That's an awful lot of money for one book. It may even be cheaper to try and track down one of the originals, but I leave that to you. But you at least have a way to actually pick up some of these rare books. Now, as I said, I'll be covering part 2 in about a month's time, so look out for that. I'll do the second half of the Paperbacks from Hell book, because I think these are such fun to look through. If you've enjoyed today's video, of course, do please give it that thumbs up. If you've not subscribed already, do please consider subscribing to the channel. We've got plenty of vintage paperback coverage. Literally every week there's new paperback related videos, and I like to do book visits as well. Thank you very much for watching today. Do please give the video a thumbs up, and I will very much look forward to seeing you in a month's time when we'll carry on looking through some more Paperbacks from Hell. Bye.